group talk here. Pension fund manager expects you to have 120 inflow in 6 months. Forward contract. What forward contract would you seek to enter to lock in the current rates? What would you be doing with the forward market? What forward contract would you seek to enter into? So 6 months from now, you're expecting an inflow of the 120 million. So what would you need to do? This one's kind of simple. I'll just give you a hint. What are you wanting to do? Brady, are you speaking about this problem? Yeah, essentially, but even more specific, not something that you need to find, but you're going to be having an inflow of 120 million. So what side of the contract are you going to be on 6 months from now, Liz? Well, just think about, all I want to think about is what are you doing? What are you agreeing to do now that you're going to do 6 months from now? You're going to enter into a contract called a forward contract. You have an inflow of bonds coming in. So at the other end, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be selling, right? So you're going to get them, but you want to know that you have 6%. So when they come to you and you get them, you're going to turn and burn them right away. And you're going to get that 6%. So you're going to enter into a forward contract. It's kind of like you have an inflow of apples, 120 million apples. You're the apple farmer. So you're engaging in selling those apples at a fixed price. Somebody else wants those apples, and they're like, gosh, I'd love to buy the 120s at 6%. I'll take that deal, right? So we're just kind of thinking about what side of the deal we're going to be on. Yeah, Isaac, where are we going? I'm sorry, I said 6%. I was thinking about the other problem, but it's just current rates. Either I made up 6% or whatever, but yeah, whatever rate you're wanting to, you're just going to be the forward. So you're going to enter into a contract where you're going to purchase the 120 million of bonds with an interest rate equal to the current rates. Because you're going to have that inflow, and so you're going to have them, you're going to be agreeing to purchase them at the 6%, or at the current rate that you want. In a sense, you're agreeing to purchase something you don't have now, right? And so really what you're trying to do is just minimize your risk. Because you're going to for sure guarantee yourself the current rates today by doing that. And so the long position is usually you're buying today, holding and selling, but you're actually agreeing to buy something in the future. And so I guess in a way, what does a short sale do? What are you agreeing to do? Selling now and buying later. We're kind of buying later with this. So, but I kind of want to stay away from the short-long thing because what you're really doing is just minimizing your risk. You're getting rid of the interest rate risk. You're hedging. Yeah, so all you're doing is agreeing to buy. You're going to purchase 120 million 6 months from now at today's rate. That's the forward contract that you're going to do. I'm going to purchase 120 million 6 months from now at today's rates. And of course, those are going to be, remember, specified in $100,000 increments. Well, not with a forward contract. Forward contract, we can be very specific if we find a forward contract buyer, right? The forward contract can have exact dollar amounts. It's not the futures. All right, what about number 12? Looks like somebody jumped to 12 right away. If the portfolio manager is holding 25 million of 6s to 2030 with a price of 110, what forward contract would you enter into to hedge the interest rate on these bonds over the coming year? So are you buying or selling and how much? Okay.
So like BA divided by BC. So I get you 227, 273.
Now, just to be clear though, here they're saying what forward contract would you use? So you could calculate that if you're using, but that's technically a futures contract.
Well, I was just trying to be specific.
Okay, well, I mean, but this one, look for the words forward versus futures contract. So again, they function the same. So I mean, you could approach it that way, but here it's what's the forward. So we can use the exact, that allows us to just use the exact dollar amount, so we're not bound to the contract amounts if they don't line up. JC?
You take a short position and then you measure it.
Okay, and so what does that mean, short position? What are you agreeing to do in the future?
Take out. Buy back one.
You're gonna buy them back, so,
You borrow it now, telling them to buy it.
okay, so you're holding the 25 million of sixes currently for the price of 110. What forward contract would you enter into to hedge the interest rate risk on these bonds? So you like the 110 price, right? But the problem is you don't know what it's going to be later. So what are you agreeing to do later? Sell them or buy them? I want to use that language instead of the short for now. You're going to sell them, right? You're holding them now. So now you're agreeing to sell them in the future at 110. Somebody's willing to do that. So you're just going to, you want to lock in the 110. And so you say, hey, I'll sell you these 6 months from now. You know, if interest rates are up or down, I'm just trying to get rid of the interest rate risk. So you're just simply selling them. And so you're holding them now, and you're going to hedge that by selling them, finding a buyer for them in the future. That's a forward contract. So we're agreeing to do something in the future, and we're holding them now.
So you want them to actually go down in price, right? Or no?
Well, no, that's not the point of it. So it's not like you want to go up or down. You're trying to get rid of the up down, and you can. Using the forward market, you can lock in that price. Somebody out there is willing to take that interest rate risk. It's not you. They think the market's going one direction or the other that would benefit them, and so you just put it out there that you're willing to sell what you have in the future at that fixed price. Okay, everybody good on 12? So you're selling those in the future to hedge your risk there. 13. What are you losing here? If you buy a $100,000 June Treasury for 108, and the price of the deliverable, what does that part mean again? The deliverable business? The price of the deliverable. So you bought a June Treasury contract, and then it says, and the price of the deliverable at the expiration date. So what's the deliverable business again? Let's make sure we're clean on that. What was the Apple deal that we did before? What was the deliverable? No, it didn't have anything to do with the payment. It didn't have to do with the payment, the money. It didn't have to do with the money. What was the deliverable in the forward contract with the apple farmer and the apple pie maker? The amount of apples. So kind of think about that. Sometimes we express it in dollar terms. With bonds, we have the face value of the bond, remember, right? So the deliverable, it has a dollar value associated with it, but it's really a bond that price, the face value of the bond, stays fixed. And so that's what you're really delivering at the date. And so here we have a contract that we're doing at the 108, but now the deliverable, the actual bonds at the expiration date is coming in at 102. What's your profit or loss? Did you make money or lose money? You lost. And how much did you lose? And how'd you get that?
Changing price, percent changing price.
Percent change in what was that amount?
5.56% loss, and you multiply that by 100,000.
Okay, yeah, you're right. With the way they do this, you can say you lost 6 points, but you're saying it right with calculating it. So the answer key, they just had about 6,000 per contract because the contract is valued at that amount since they're in fixed $100,000 increments. So if we went from 108 to 102, you lost $6,000 because it's based off of that 100,000. And so what you did, I think, was you must have did a percentage change from 106 to 108 to 102 minus divided by 102 type of business. So with this, it's already in those percentage terms. So it's just the difference in the amounts.
So it's 6,000.
$6,000 per contract. Because this is 6 points. Because you had it at 108 and then it ended up going down to 102. for those deliverables. So then you lost the 6%.
So that's $6,000?
It's $6,000. So the bonds are selling, in the contract, you had them at a premium or a discount, remember, right?
Yeah.
And so is this above par or under par when it's at 108? It's a premium, it's above. And so now it went down in value, down 6, and because it's all been normalized, the reason why we can use the 6% and stuff is because it's all based on 100,000, and so then it's just all based off of the 100,000 value. So you literally lost $6,000. That's one of the advantages of having them standardized, is that you can look at the contract value and it'll just, the math works out to be, if you did all the new value minus the old value business and stuff, by the time it gets delivered, it all works out that way. Okay, so you lost 6,000 points, or 6 points, or 6,000 per contract. And then the last one, if the expiration date, the deliverable treasury bond is selling for 101, but the treasury bond futures contract is selling for 102, what will happen to the futures price? So as we move through time, remember we've got 6 months, 4 months, 3 months, 2 months, 1 week, 1 day, right? As we're coming close to the expiration date, this is kind of a hypothetical. If at the expiration date, the treasury deliverable is at 101, but the treasury bond futures contract is at 102, what will happen to that price? What will happen to the futures price, which is this one, the 102? This one's selling for 101. Remember, you got kind of 2 instruments, right? You have kind of it's like the option stuff with the right to buy versus the time, and they're kind of coming close depending on if it's futures contract or otherwise. What's going to happen here? It'll decrease. Good. Why? That's right.
Because it's sold at 101, so it's not as much.
So it's 101 at the expiration.
It's 101 at the expiration. That's where you gotta be careful. So you can buy the contract here, it's selling for 102. Is that something you'd want to buy, I guess, is one way to look at it.
No, it's something you want to sell.
All right, so what's gonna happen to the futures price once people start to jump on that opportunity? You're right, it's something people would want to sell. As they start to do it, what happens to these 2 prices? They're going to equalize, they're going to converge. So we're going to see the 102 price go down. As you come closer, remember, that's the one that they're going to be converging on each other. But this is the one that's being kind of traded or jumped on for easy money. So if, like the day before, the hour before, whatever, as we approach that, then there's going to be, you know that you're going to get 101. And so people are going to act on that, and that's what's going to drive the difference. So the 102 is going to fall for the futures price. And then there'll be less money. So notice here, it's just the opposite of this one. The price fell from 108 to 102. Now the futures price is above, and so there's a profit to be made. And as soon as people start doing that, then that's going to cause the price to change. Okay, questions there on any of those for the last one? So that'll wet your whistle for now. Yeah.
This is a big last one. Okay.
So here, let me put it up on the screen. And you guys can kind of digest it at your own speed here. So the futures price must fall to 101. Otherwise, arbitrageurs, who are arbitrageurs? Who are arbitrageurs? Buy in one market, sell in another. Basically, you're looking for easy profits, right? You can turn a buck like this, like, oh gosh, what's something stupid's going on? The futures price is different than the deliverable price. That's like a no-brainer. It's like free money, right? So arbitrageurs are going to jump in, could buy the bond for 101 and sell the futures at the contract price of 102. So that's the trade-off, because that bond can still be purchased, right? And so then and then deliver the bond, thereby making a risk-free profit of 1 point. This is such a good deal, huge sales price, driving down the price to 101 so that no risk-free profits can be made. Okay. So let's wrap up a few concepts. I don't know, can you guys in the breakout room, can you see the screen all right if I just work from this camera, or do you want me to take you out of, well, I'm gonna do a little bit of work and then we're gonna go back to working on another problem. That's okay, thumbs up, okay.
Have we done over swaps yet?
No, that's what we're gonna do next. Is it just you on there, Brady? The other guys bailed? Yeah, it looks that way. All right, well, I'm gonna close the room then, just in case they're having trouble, or if they pop back in, then they won't be in the room. So I'm gonna put you down in there. All right, there we go. So I wanted to clean up a little bit from yesterday.
I don't know why it's sideways.
There, now we should be good. I disconnected that speaker, the audio. Okay. So yesterday we didn't quite finish on what that market risk, so I want to summarize that before we do the swap.
As you said, it's sideways.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I didn't understand that you said it on the back. There we go. Okay. So yesterday we were showing how you could play the market if you think you've got stocks figured out in terms of which ones are more pro-cyclical or counter-cyclical. So here's the assumption that we made yesterday. So let's say playing the market. Whether up or down. So here's the assumption that it's making. It assumes you are good at seeing differences with bull and bear market stocks, which is a big if, by the way. And so we had company A and B, so I'm not going to recap everything here, but basically when the market is up, a bull market, you've noticed that the percentage change in company B, the B percentage is greater than company A's percentage change. And when the market was down, just the opposite. We have A's percentage in a bull market, or a bear market rather, is greater than B's.
Does this have to do with the pro-cyclical?
With the what? Yeah, it's related to it. Yes. So if that's the case, the strategy then would be to go long on one and short on the other. So if we go long with B and short with A for the same dollar value. All right, then we can kind of recap our little picture here. So we had $5, $10, and we had today company A was at $5 per share, company B was at $10 a share. And then we can calculate what their differences will be. So the prediction that you're making, kind of this big if right here, is that if the market's up, B tends to go up by 50%. And when the market goes down, B only falls by 20%. And when the market goes up, A only goes up 20%, but when it goes down by 50%. So here's the beauty of this strategy is that the difficult thing is timing the market, right? Nobody can perfectly time the market on when it's going to go up. So in theory, you could make money on company B, or you could make money on company A, right? So you just don't want to buy here because then it's down and then it's up. So the timing is wrong. But if you figured out that these two companies behave differently during ups and downs, you can exploit that difference. And so you're going to do it by going short with company A, because when the market goes down, they go down a lot. That means you win a lot, right? And when you go long on company B, because when the market's up, they go up a lot. And so you're not going, you shorted company A, remember, in the strategy, but you only lost 20% and you gained 50%. And if the market's down, you gained 50% on A and you only lost 20% on B. Right? So now you don't have to worry about the timing of each individual one. You are literally kind of playing the ups and downs of the market if you're able to do this type of hedge for market risk. And the only reason I'm introducing this is that companies can look at their overall portfolio and kind of hedge market risk by doing a strategy like this. It's just a different form of a hedge for market risk rather than a specific asset like we've been doing with the exercises we just did. All right, so then the recap, I don't know if we made it all the way through last time. So with the market up, if the market goes up with this strategy, if you're long in company B, you go from $10 to $15. So we're going to have the same dollar invested, which means 2 shares of company B, because they're only at $5. So we got 1 share, let's just say 1 share of company B, and then we're going to go short in company A. So notice that we're just splitting our portfolio. We had $20 to invest, let's say. 10 of it's in company B, 10 of it's in company A. So I've split my money 50-50, but I just took a different short and long position. And the result of that then, with the short here, I'm going to lose, or my $5 is going to, or it's actually $10, I'm doing 2 shares, all right. So my $10 is going to, on the up here, go up by 12, and look, this is when the market goes up, remember. So I won if I would have taken a long position, but I didn't. I took a short, so I took it in the short, so I'm going to lose this $2. So I'm up $5 on my long and down $2 in my short, so I'm up 3 when the market is a bull market. When the market's a bear market, so market down, a bear market, bear. Then we're going to have just the opposite, but the numbers are going to be different. So in a bear market, my long in A caused me to go from $10 to $8, causing me to lose $2 on that bet because the market went down. And my short in company B was the winner. I turned my $10 into the $5, or went down to $5 because I have 2 shares, which means with the short position, I gain 5 and I win 3. So here's the beauty of it. Whether the market goes up or down, you don't care. You're going to make money. If you can find 2 companies that have this behavior, which is a big if. That's a big if. But it is a way to basically make money. You know, it almost sounds too good to be true, right? On an infomercial. Make money whether the market's up or whether the market's down. Well, truth be told, functionally, that could be the case. If you can find a company like B and A where one goes up proportionately more than the other in up markets and the opposite is true in down markets, you can play that strategy and not lose any money. That's a big, big if. I'm not trying to be an infomercial. I wouldn't advise that you start doing this, but that's a different way of hedging market risk. And again, some companies can do variations of this to try to hedge out some market risk, depending on if ones are more with the market or post-cyclical or counter-cyclical.
Have you ever heard anyone do this in gambling? I know I forget what it's called, but it's something where like different sites will have different odds, right? And you play the odds against themselves, so you never lose and there's always profit. It's the same thing pretty much?
It could be depending on the type of game you're playing. Like with Texas Hold'em, you're getting a different round of cards each time. But yeah, with sports gambling, yeah, that's possible.
Over and unders and stuff like
that. Yeah, with sports gambling, it could, because you're either going to have a win or a loss. Like the up or down analogy, it's either going to be Alabama who's going to win or Clemson, right? And so, yeah, then if you have different bookies with different odds, then you could do something along those lines. Yeah, potentially. Yes. So from 10 to 8.
You just put A and B backwards.
Oh, I did? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I was long in B. Yeah, it's supposed to match this. Sorry. Yep, you're right. Make that correction. I was moving too fast. Yeah, so you're playing the same position either way. Yep. Okay, any other clarifications on that one? All right, let's get into the interest rate swap. This is a fun one. So you've got 2 companies that have different interest rates. So what is a variable rate loan? If you have a variable rate loan, what does that mean? The rate can change. So it's usually at periodic times, like every 5 years or every 1 year or whatever. It can be daily, by the way. I mean, it can be anything it wants. But the point is that the interest rate can change, and otherwise you can get a fixed rate loan. Now you might ask yourself, well, why would I ever get a fixed rate loan if the variable rate loan is cheaper? And of course, part of that is the variable rate down the road could be higher than the fixed, right? So there's some risk there. Typically, when the first day you get a variable rate loan, it's going to be cheaper than the fixed rate. So if fixed rates are 6%, a variable rate might be 5%, right? So it's a full point lower. But again, the difference being the risk that you're taking that interest rates might be higher in the future. Okay, so that's kind of the setup for this example. All right, so suppose we've got company A. And company A borrows $1 million at the LIBOR rate, which is the London interchange United States. So it's an interchange bank rate over in London. So very popular rate. So So the LIBOR rate plus 2%. So company A has a variable rate loan that they're paying. And in period one, the LIBOR rate is at 5%. If LIBOR is at 5%, what is the interest rate that they're paying on their $1 million bucks? So 7. So the interest rate for company A, so let's put little I subscript A, is 7%, following our little formula. And how much money would that actually be on $1 million for the year? 70, 17, 7, what? 70 grand, right? So 10% would be 100 grand. So 7% is 70 grand worth of interest. Okay, and so the risk that they're taking on, or the benefits, is that maybe interest rates in period 2. In period 2, the LIBOR rate fluctuates and goes to 6%. It goes down. Now my interest rate is what? In period 2, so this is I2 and I1. Now it's 8%, right? So now we get, was it 8% or? Oh, it'd be 8. I'm sorry. My eyeball was drifting down. We wanted LIBOR to go down to 4%. So LIBOR rate's down. Sorry. So interest rate is now 6. And it would be 60K, 60,000 bucks worth of interest. So that's company A's situation. And then we'll look at company B. Just kind of write them off to the right here. Company B. And they have a loan of $1 million that they did on their own. And they have a fixed rate at a fixed rate of 8%. So what is their interest per period? 80,000 per period because it's fixed. All right, so for whatever reason, this company would like to set up a fixed rate because they're getting a little jumpy on interest rates jumping it down. It worked to their advantage here, but they'd like to do something a little bit different. These guys on the flip side think that interest rates are going to continue to go down, so they'd like to get out from under their fixed rate. So what they can do is an interest rate swap. So an interest rate, let me change to, let's try orange. See how orange comes out. So an interest rate swap. Interest rate swap. So here's what they agree on, that these guys are going to pay 7%. They make their own side deal. It doesn't necessarily depend on what they do. But these guys say, I'd like to pay 7% on a notional $1 million bucks. I'll come back to what notional means here in a second. So company A is going to pay company B 7% on the notional 1 million. And these guys are going to have a side deal with these guys to pay LIBOR plus 1% on a notional 1 million bucks. So the word notional means that million is never going to actually be traded. It was simply used to calculate the amount of money that's going to flow between company A and B. So A and B have a completely separate contract with each other that is separate from the deal that they have with their bank. Right? So their deal stays with their bank, and now we have a third contract called an interest rate swap that this amount of money, 7% on a notional 1 million, which is how much? 70,000. Company A just agrees to pay 70,000 to these guys each year or each period, and these guys agree to pay LIBOR plus 1% each period on a notional 1 million. That's the swap. Isaac.
So the bank still sends company A the same stuff it's been sending them, but then company A will then form another bill and send it to company B, so that way they can pay.
Yes.
Or what the bank pays.
So here we go. A for company A. So this is kind of the summary here. We'll see how it works out here. So A pays lender 1. I put this is their lender here. So let's call these guys. These guys are making these payments here. This borrowing happened to lender number 1, bank number 1. Let's just call them L1. And of course, these guys have their deal of borrowing their stuff with lender 2. Two different banks. The banks aren't related. So lender 2. So A is going to continue to pay their lender, depending on what period it is. So for period 1, and then period 2. So for period 1, what does company A have to pay their lender? 70,000. So it's 70,000. And then A pays B. Now normally there's not going to be really, we're just trying to break this down into slow motion. Company A is going to pay company B how much in period 1?
Okay, A pays B.
Yep. 70,000. That's this part up here of this flow calculated. And then finally, B is going to pay A. B pays company A how much?
60,000.
So we know LIBOR is 5%,
Oh, okay, period 1 here.
and their deal is 5% plus 1, so it's going to be 60,000, and that works to their credit. So at the end of the day, if we kind of summarize what happened with company A, plus the 270s minus the 60 gives us 80,000. I'll come back to that later. Period 2, LIBOR changed. How much is A going to pay their lender? 60. How much is A going to pay B? 70. How much is B going to pay A? 50. Add them all up. 80. They've effectively swapped interest rates. When you look at the total altogether, after taking into account this exchange of funds, company A is paying for their loan effectively 80 each time period. So how about on summarizing company B? So summary for B. This was summary for A here. So B pays their lender. B pays L2. Their loan obligation for period 1 was how much? 80K. And then B is going to pay A the 60, which was kind of this B pays A here. So now we're just summarizing the other way. And what does A pay B? 70. Add them all up, and what do we get? Company B pays 70. What a deal. They were supposed to pay 80, but now they're paying 70. Period 2 comes along, and B pays their lender a fixed rate of 80 like they always are obligated to do, because that's their mortgage contract with their lender. Now what's B going to pay A? So B's paying A LIBOR plus 1% on a notional 1 million. So 50, 4% is LIBOR. So they're paying 50. And then what is A paying B again? The 70. That payment's always fixed. So 7% is coming back here. So we got minus 70. And so what is the effective payment? 60. And notice those are the numbers that company A would have paid had this not been in place. They've effectively swapped their interest rates using that contract.
How did they agree or for company A to pay 7% a month?
They just negotiated.
Oh, okay, so that's just like they negotiated as they came up with.
Yep, they just wanted to figure out what they did. So it works out, the way these numbers worked out, we had it so that it was equal, but it didn't have to be. They could have negotiated a 0.5% or something if interest rates would have been different. So just to keep the numbers easy so that they matched up when we saw what was going on with a kind of a perfect swap. Then it was the LIBOR plus 1.
How often does it work out? Is it usually not?
It's just negotiated. It's a known thing. All of this is known stuff, right? The only unknown, what is the unknown here? What LIBOR is going to be? That's the only unknown thing. So these guys wanted variability. These guys wanted something fixed. So if we play around with the spread between these two numbers, either the 7% or the 1 or some combination, then you can negotiate so that it's perfectly something different than what you have, with one guy's remaining fixed and one guy's remaining variable. Then,
So now if the LIBOR percentage goes up, it's going to hurt B more than it would pay now.
yeah, in fact, is it ever going to hurt? Is it ever going to hurt A? Not again, it's fixed. So no matter what, it's always going to end up, this payment is always going to offset anything right here. What B pays A is always going to offset anything so that it always equals 80.
How do they find each other this agreement?
Using brokers.
Oh, okay.
So this is big business. Like this would be major, loans that are going on for companies. And so they could say, I'm looking for an interest rate swap and call their broker and see if there's something else out there. Bankers would also know if I have a client who's wanting to get out of their fixed rate deal or something like that. So just through markets. All right, anything else on that? So that is the interest rate swap, another form of hedging. Again, the theme here is we're just looking at that. Now I want to jump into the problems, but well, I'll save this. We can do that one maybe even next week. It's a little off topic from this week. So I got through the ones I wanted to. We need to do more problems though. So let's do it. Exam material. So we're going to start with the back. There's lots of problems here. So start with 18, which is this side. And go ahead and start passing those around. So you guys start on number 18. So we've got a pension fund for this one. Let me drop the screen now. So by the way, next week's material, we're going to catch up on all of our Allison book. We missed Monday, so that means I had to trim things up on that. But next week it's a little bit more reading comprehension, so it'll be nice in line with the Allison book anyway. So start with 18. Suppose that a pension fund you are managing is expecting an inflow of 100 million next year. You want to make sure that you'll earn the current interest rate of 8% when you invest in the incoming funds in long-term bonds. How would you use the futures market to do this? $100,000 contract value, by the way, with the futures. You can just write that down if you want. Assume that it's what we have in the chart, but they are, the futures market is in $100,000 increments. So you can calculate how many contracts you need to buy for the 100 million.
You said the value of the contract was 100,000. What the value of the asset?
The contracts are traded in $100,000 increments. Yes. So the number of contracts divided by So how many contracts are you buying?
100,000.
1,000, right? 1,000 contracts to get up to 100 million worth. You just want the current interest rate, so what would you be buying? Since it's just current rates, you would just pick today's rate, right?
Yes.
That's it. Easy peasy. You guys are learning how to hedge.
So you would buy 1,000 contracts.
You buy 1,000, yeah, you got 1,000 contracts. So buy 1,000 contracts.
At the current interest rate.
And the expiration date is how far out?
A year.
1 year. Yeah. And so basically, you'd be getting delivered, since you're buying those contracts, you're going to be delivered that amount 1 year from now at the current rate. You've got $100 million is the value of the asset. So if that equation with number of contracts equals the value of the asset divided by the value of the contracts, each contract value is normalized at 100,000. So 100 million divided by 100,000 is 1,000. Yes. You're buying that futures contract, yes.
Yeah, what's it mean by in the money, out of the money, or after the money?
Okay, so in the money, out of the money. So we had that strike price as the exercise price. So in our example we had with, what was I using? $60, it seems to mind. If you're buying GameStop at $60, you have the option to buy at 60. So if the price currently of GameStop is 100, you are in the money, right? You have the right to buy GameStop at 60. Anytime you want, it's at 60, and then you're basically going to be able to sell it at 100. You got an instant profit of $40. So you're in the money. Out of the money, you haven't reached it yet. Yeah, and then you've got the little bugaboo of thinking about the option price too.
So out of the money means you pay more.
If you're out of the money, you're not going to be able to make money on it. Well, you had to pay for the option. So if the stock price isn't above the strike price. What are you talking about? What did your other people say? Bounce off some money's first. You guys can play the share game. I'm not giving out answers right away.
I didn't get to the second part, but yeah.
I don't just want to be the answer key. So with the put option, you're selling your right to buy or right to sell. So where do you need to be relative if you had it at, if the current price is at 120, where did you need it to be making some money? Below 95, right? So remember with the put and the calls, you gotta train your brain to go the opposite direction. But you would need to be at a price less than 95 to be in the money.
You're out of the money because you're still buying stuff, price to sell.
Right. So what if the price was 94? How much would you make? All in all everything said,
Make 1 point.
you'd make 1 point back. What if it was 96? You still lose the 4,000. So that's what the exercise price, you have the right to exercise it once you hit that. So the exercise price is 95.
If it was 94, you'd still have to pay that premium.
So yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up. So have you paid the premium or not when it comes to it being 94? Is the premium out the money? Is it sunk cost or is it an active cost you can get avoid? It's sunk, it's gone, right? You paid the 4 already. So now if it does hit 94 or 95, so if it hits 95, what do we make?
You lose 4.
We lost 4 or 5. You buy a put option on $100,000. Futures contract exercise price of 95. Price of the treasury is at 120. But hypothetically, if it's at 95, you paid 99, so you're still up.
You're out.
You're at the money. Yeah, so usually when we talk about in the money or out of the money, since the option price is gone out the window, you just look if you're in the money or you're going to make money. So if you can make like $2,000 bucks, let's say, you still overall lost 2,000, but you were still in the money on your option. Your money was live. You still were able to offset something, depending on how the numbers would work out.
So the premium doesn't matter when you're in or out of the money.
Right. The premium doesn't matter when you're in or out of the money. Now here you're clearly out of the money, right? But when you're actually buying or selling, you're just looking at the difference between the exercise price and the stock price.
Can you explain to me what it means to be at the exercise price?
To be at what?
The exercise price is 131.
So the exercise price is the strike price. So you have a put option. So you need to be below that. The actual stock, the actual value would need to be below 95 for you to be in the money. And you paid 4,000 for that to be that way. So once you're in the money, then you might make some, but you're out of the money when it's at 120. Did I answer your question?
How does the premium work again?
The premium is what you paid to do it in the first place.
Okay.
And while you guys do that, I'm going to pull up one little slide. I can take a quick little break just you'll see this in the textbook, and it kind of helps put together options versus futures. Remember, with futures contracts, you're obligated to do it, right? You can't get out of it, or you can resell it if you wanted to. But with the option, the nice thing is you have the right to get out of it. So the red line here is the buyer of a call option. And the blue line is the buyer of a futures. And so the difference between these two is always the premium. And so that's all market driven, but the premium is the difference, so that if the right to buy falls below the strike price, the futures player is still obligated. They're going to lose more money because it went the wrong way on them. But the option buyer has less. In order to get that luxury, you pay a premium for it. So that's what this graph is doing. Same thing in the opposite direction for puts. The put future on the opposite side for the futures contract is the blue line. And then price falls, but then buyer is fixed at that rate. Okay, continue on. Just wanted to point that out and see that as it work through.
So we're going to
Yeah.
You already went over 19, right?
Yes, that's what we just went over, yep. With the 95, you're out of the money. So on 20, what did you have for profit?
Loss of 500.
Loss of 500, good.
How much were you out of 19?
I got 21.
Here's 20 and 21 if you guys want to check your work. So that was the loss of 500 there for 20. 21, you got to get into these 5 30 seconds and 12 30 seconds. And
Why did it gain?
because the 5 is the number of contracts that you have. So you're multiplying that times 5. So you get to 13,000. So there was your total gain, but that's always per contract. And then you had the 5 contracts. Yeah, the fractions are kind of fun, huh? That's Wall Street.
That's all I work with is fractions.
Strike price is 98.5.
Which one are you on?
21.
21?
You take that minus 95 off the right?
It's on the futures contract, so there's no strike price. What do you mean? This is the futures.
Okay, you just take it up
5/32.
Yeah.
So it's short
That's
on
the
this,
six.
and it ends up being $98.
You just add that to the end of 98.
Short.
Did a little differently. but-
No, you want it to go down. You bought it at 98.
Yeah.
And then you want it to go down in the short.
No, 95, I don't see that.
Yeah, it's 95. Yeah.
Where does that 1,000 come from? And,
Here,
yes.
just to change these back to the dollar amounts.
Because I did it a lot longer way than that.
Okay. Yeah, that's part of the, with the futures contracts being normalized to just kind of shift decimal places around. Got the right answer. All right. That is it. There was some other ones on the back that you guys can work on if you want. 23.
Where do we find the answers? Because these are the problems that I can put.
Yeah, you don't have them. That's why we do them in class. So for 23, some of them they might be out there, but so annual rate of 1.6 per pound, 169,000. If you would have taken the spot rate, so that's today's rate, there would have been 172. So she would have saved 3,400. If you guys want to scribble down, you can scribble down some answers. I don't want you taking a photograph, but if you want to scribble down some answers, go ahead.